So apparently Terry Rozier is being investigated for whether or not he manipulated his performance in 2023 as part of an illegal sports betting scheme. Uh, what? This is I don't know. I have to say, this is probably a lot more common than we are led to believe. Than it sounds like. I think this probably happens in smaller doses and smaller sample sizes and at a lower level significantly more often than we think. It's just never discovered because it's minor stuff, minor offenses. But I have to say, if federal prosecutors are investigating this, there is in all likelihood real legitimacy to this story, and that would be a killer for Terry Rozier's career, obviously. I mean, Jonte Porter, who obviously got exposed and busted for doing something similar and basically having a group of people bet on his unders last season in games that he would get injured or just wouldn't play or wouldn't try to play, or case in point, he basically explained how he was going to play to this group of people and they would bet on that and make money off of it. And if Terry Rozier was doing something similar, safe to say, his career's over. Let's put it that way. Very, very simply, Terry Rozier, who is an important piece on the Heat and a legitimately good, useful, playoff caliber rotation player in the NBA, his career is going to be over. Which, by the way, of course, screws the Miami Heat even further, which is kind of funny because the Heat are obviously involved in the whole Jimmy Butler scandal and things of that nature. Now, what this has the potential to do, which is something that I think is interesting, is the way that it could affect the trade deadline. Because you know what the Heat could all of a sudden be very interested in? Is a point guard, somebody like De'Aaron Fox. People have linked De'Aaron Fox to the Heat. Obviously, the number one link for De'Aaron Fox is the Spurs, but there are other links and other stories that basically say that he's kind of open to going anywhere, and the Kings are accepting calls from a lot of different teams. And if the Kings were to trade De'Aaron Fox, this is the type of thing that the Heat might go, okay, we don't have a point guard anymore in Terry Rozier. We're trying to get rid of Jimmy Butler. What if we did Jimmy Butler and a bunch of picks for De'Aaron Fox? I can't say the Kings wouldn't find that sometime. It's somewhat interesting and an opportunity to potentially maintain a certain level of relevancy. Now, what's the fit with Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan? It's kind of weird, I have to say. They don't really have a point guard to replace De'Aaron Fox, obviously. I don't think it's a great fit, but it's an interesting deal nonetheless. And I think De'Aaron Fox, he did play with Bam Adebayo in college. And I think a core of De'Aaron Fox, Bam Adebayo, and Kel'el Ware and potentially Tyler Hero would be a really interesting team for the Heat if they were able to potentially figure out a way to do that trade. But the way that this sounds is basically as though his career is probably over. And there's some stuff already going around on Twitter and stuff about how this could be connected to a model who basically tweeted that she was betting his under on 3-pointers and then she deleted it. It's apparently that there's a link. This is from a couple weeks ago on January 10th that basically said he's missing so she can hit her parlays. There seems to be some interesting news regarding this. For example, this tweet right here, I don't know the validity of this, but it says, the ring accused of conspiring with Jonte Porter also bet heavily against Rozier in a 2023 game for the Hornets. Not to mention, we have tweets right here from 2023. A dude basically talking about how Terry Rozier played 9 minutes, was out for the rest of the game. In this game, there was this tweet right here. This dude says, got lucky I was fed some inside info that Rozier was leaving in the first or second quarter depending on game flow and live line so that his unders would hit. That's not allowed. It's funny because people are gonna like at the time this looks like a joke, but now there might be some real legitimacy to this. It's a very interesting storyline that is going to be absolutely worth watching. What is this tweet? Same thing, same tweet right here. And right here, Books pulled the Terry Rozier lines. And there might be some legitimacy to this. Like, this looks to be very real. Because the thing is, federal prosecutors don't look into something like this story without there being real legitimacy to it. And so it's certainly something to keep an eye on. That's all I'll say. I think this is probably the end of Terry Rozier's career, would be my guess. And if it's anything like the Jonte Porter situation, he's going to jail. Plain and simple. Which is why I have to say, scheming with some people to make an extra buck when you're already an NBA player making millions of dollars, Especially somebody like Terry Rozier. I don't know how much money is Terry Rozier making? I don't know what his contract is, but let's just take a look. Terry Rozier contract. Terry is making, he has a 4-year, $96 million contract. The dude is making $25 million this year and $26.5 million next year. He doesn't need to do this. Why is he throwing away his career potentially for an extra buck when you're making 25 million? Like, it doesn't make sense, but it seems to be more common than we thought, with Jontay Porter doing it, now Terry Rozier doing it in the last year. Like, it makes me wonder who else might come out, and we might find out that other people are participating in this type of stuff. Because like I said, I'm sure it's more common than we are led to believe, but it's nothing if not an interesting story, and certainly one that will be worth following and worth keeping up on. But I found this very fascinating and thought it was worth making a video on and discussing, because this is if nothing else, an extremely interesting story. And hey, we'll see what happens, but I don't know if I like it. I definitely don't like it. This isn't good for the NBA if we have players that are betting on games and scheming to try to make money and work against the sportsbook and stuff like that. It's impacting the integrity of the play, and you just hope that it's not happening at a larger scale. But if it is happening, it should be cracked down upon at a severe level, and I think that is exactly what's happening here with Terry Rozier, or probably what will happen with Terry Rozier, just like it did with Jontay Porter. But be interesting to follow this story and see what happens. But I just want to make a quick update video because I saw this and I was like, whoa, this is big news. But I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.